So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. We are MLTI 2.0, and we are excited to be here and get started. I'm here with my team, and so first I'd like to start by introducing everyone or letting them introduce themselves to you. First, we'll start with the Learning Through Technology team to get us started on this first half. I'll turn it to you, Brandy.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Brandy Coda. I'm the management analyst for the Learning Through Technology team.
I'm Jordan Dean, and I am the office specialist for the MLTI team.
And I'm John Graham. I'm the elementary digital learning specialist on the team.
And I'm Emma Banks. I am the secondary digital learning specialist and the computer science specialist.
So again, and I am Beth Lambert. I'm the Director of Innovative Teaching and Learning in the Office of Innovation at the Maine Department of Education. And we are all honored to be able to share our time with you and share information about how the Maine Learning Technology Initiative, the first statewide one-to-one laptop program, has been updated to MLTI 2.0. A one-to-one program that's as visionary and innovative as it is relevant and responsive to the design of the needs of today's learners, as it was when it launched 20 years ago. I'll provide you with a brief overview first, and then the rest of my amazing team is going to dive into the specific elements of MLTI 2.0 more closely. In 2019, the Education and Cultural Affairs Committee of the 129th Legislature wrote a letter to the Commissioner of Education asking that the MLTI program be reviewed to ensure that it aligned to the current and future needs of students and that it was cost effective. We spent the spring and summer of 2019 holding think tanks and gathering feedback from stakeholders on what was working well with MLTI and what areas either hadn't been realized from the original vision or weren't going so well. We then convened the MLTI Advisory Board in January of 2020. We asked 16 educational organizations, including this one, to send us 2 members from representing different regions of the state. The organizations included school board members and superintendents from this organization, business managers, technology integrators, tech directors, curriculum coordinators, superintendents, special education directors, educators, principals, you name it. The board met 11 times throughout the next year. The work entailed reviewing the stakeholder input and doing a close examination of the existing MLTI program ourselves. We did this by looking at the guiding principles. And we all agreed that the original principles of MLTI should still guide the program. But we took a deeper dive into what those principles really meant in a 2020 reality, which, as you all know, was quickly changing, particularly when it came to the foundational principle of equity. At the risk of sounding cliche or trite, equal is not always equitable, which we've heard and we know. And perhaps when the program began, focusing on giving every 7th and 8th grade student in Maine the same thing was equitable. But in 2020, when we have computers in our pockets, there was so much more to consider. We understood, like so many things in education right now, we needed this program to be individualized to individual districts, to schools, and teachers' needs. It needed to be more flexible and adaptable if it was going to have the impact going forward, because when we really looked at it, despite the intent of the original design, MLTI had become the Maine Laptop Initiative, not the Maine Learning Technology Initiative. So with a renewed commitment to equity and making this program about learning, we next identified what was working and what should remain. These were primarily that everyone wanted the state to continue to provide devices, as doing so was increasing access. And it was clear that for our smaller, more rural schools, having the state handle the selection of the devices was also important. They just didn't have the capacity. Everyone agreed that the work of MLTI to support the school and library network that provides broadband to every school and library was essential and should also continue. We then looked at the areas that were not working or had not been fully realized from the original plan. Both during stakeholder meetings and during the advisory board meetings, we heard the need to uncouple the professional learning from the device vendor. Additionally, we heard that schools wanted more choice in the devices they selected, since all of them had purchased devices on their own for other grade levels, they wanted to be able to have consistency in operating systems and more autonomy. We also determined that we wanted to find a way to serve more students instead of just the 7th and 8th grade. And all agreed that the gap was continuing to grow between those students that had access to broadband at home and those who didn't, and believed that MLTI needed to do more to close that gap. And finally, it was clear that 20 years was too long to go without reviewing and revising this program. So you will see that we have built into our design processes to review and revise this program throughout each element. So now with that overview, I'm going to hand it over to the rest of the team to dig in and address all these elements that I mentioned, beginning with Brandy and our new device selection and deployment program.
So keeping device choice in mind, and that we heard that feedback very often from schools and throughout the MLTI Advisory Board, we released one RFP, which had 2 device types, a laptop and a tablet, and multiple types of operating systems currently being used in Maine schools. This led to state contracts with 4 different device vendors and 6 approved MLTI devices, which you can see here. Each device comes with a mobile management license, accidental damage protection, and a 3-year warranty. Each school is given an allocation of $459 per eligible student and eligible staff. These allocations also include an additional 2% to be used for spare devices or for enrollment fluctuations. As you can see, 3 of the devices on the menu are completely covered by the annual allocation, and any additional costs beyond the $459 comes at local cost. MLTI in year 1 will cover grades 7 and 8. In year 2, schools have the option to choose either grade 6 or grade 9. And in year 2 can choose an additional grade as long as it's adjacent to an MLTI grade. After 3 years, the program will start back and refresh with 7th and 8th grade. And that will continue on a 3-year cycle. If you need information on allocations per district, you can find that on our website linked below on the slide. And I'm going to turn it over to Jordan, who will discuss the device allocation reimbursement process for schools.
So once you get your allocation from the Maine Department of Education, which we emailed this year and we also posted on the website, you're going to get to choose your vendor. And we created a page which is password protected, in which this holds all of our vendors and how to get a hold of them. Some of them have ordering online. Some of them you need to reach out via email. Once you choose your vendor, work with your vendor and order the device, then we need to reimburse you for the money that you have put out for what we cover, up to $459 per student. On the procured pages, we have an invoice in which is fillable. And along with that invoice, we need either the acknowledgement form or the pro forma invoice, in which the vendor should send to you within a couple hours to a couple days of ordering that device. You don't have to have devices in hand, and you don't need to pay for these devices in advance. We just need an invoice billing the department along with the pro forma invoice or acknowledgement form. And if you could send both of those documents to me via email, you can send it in the mail. We just don't check the mail as often as we are working from home. So it's pretty simple. We want to make it as easy as possible, and always feel free to reach out if you have any questions about the reimbursement process.
Launching into professional learning for MLTI 2.0, we really wanted to do some intentional planning and set, a mission and a vision, and talk about the values that are important for, professional learning related to technology. And so we've come up with a mission to ensure equitable access to statewide, innovative, high quality MLTI professional learning opportunities, really emphasizing the student-centered and research-based principles that make professional learning effective. And the vision is that all of our teachers are actively engaging in MLTI professional learning, and they collaborate within their schools throughout regions and across the state to provide active and innovative learning experiences for their students. So really, this would be all teachers engaging in effective professional learning that they're interested in and that they're really wanting to collaborate with others through this professional learning opportunity that MLTI can present. And then just talking about some of the values that, are important to MLTI as an initiative, is equity, inclusion, mindfulness, resilience, communication, collaboration, innovation, all of those different types of things that make professional learning successful. And then the other piece that we really wanted to focus on with MLTI professional learning is to make sure that we're not just taking a state-led approach and we're not just taking a school-based approach, but that we really have things happening from both different directions and that there's some sharing happening in the middle as well. So with our state-led initiatives, we're looking at intentional and focused professional development, looking at what are the goals and vision of MLTI, and then making sure that we have our PD aligned with those things, as well as the annual conference and looking for ways to increase statewide capacity and involvement in MLTI professional learning. And then at a regional level, we really want to see resource sharing, regional events, cohorts, and collaborations within a region, and then having those regions share out statewide. So having that scaffolded approach to where they come together, they find something that works, and then they want to share it with the rest of the state. And then also, of course, at the school-based level, we really want that coaching and support, which our ambassadors are going to be able to provide, and you'll be hearing more about that very soon. But also as well as school-based professional development opportunities and really sitting down with schools and talking about the goals that they have and how they want to track that progress on those goals and be moving things forward in a really mindful way. And then ensuring, of course, that at our school-based levels, as well as regional and statewide, that there really is something for everyone, that MLTI is not just for tech-focused people, but it really is about anyone who has an interest in improving their instructional practice in their classroom, integrating technology, doing digital instructional design, any of those kinds of things. And so at this point, I'm going to pass it off to John to talk a little bit about the focus areas that we have set up.
So as you can see here, we have three kind of main focus areas that we were looking at. And we really believe that a lot of schools, when they're formulating the goals that they have that would, in terms of looking at what they might align with, I think we found that probably many of them would align with one of these three buckets here. So I think it kind of gives schools some direction if they're trying to think of, what would we want to do? And then those schools that kind of already know what they're doing, it's kind of where would we get in alignment with what's kind of already being offered and produced. And it gives our ambassadors and our team some direction to make sure that their professional learning has some real focus to it that aligns with each of these groups. So we've kind of pulled a few items, 3 for each of the 3 categories to kind of give you a sense of what those entail. So like digital citizenship would be stuff like information literacy, internet safety and security, rights and responsibilities. Technology integration would be stuff like application use or application and use of digital tools, vetting and selecting those tools, and as well as models for implementing those tools. And digital instructional design would include things like student engagement, remote hybrid learning, and synchronous and asynchronous learning. So I think a lot of the goals and work that schools would be doing, staff would be doing, would align with any of these 3 fields. And to kind of just highlight one part of those, so we really were hoping to lead with digital citizenship this year just to kind of get things going. So we renewed a partnership with Common Sense Media, which you might be familiar with through a number of different avenues, but their education content and curriculum is very robust. So give us a good opportunity to work with them again and develop all kinds of different possibilities for schools. So many of the ambassadors and myself are part of a digital citizenship school cohort that they have started. And part of that is working to think about how schools can think about becoming a common sense school. And they have a roadmap that they've developed, like how to work through that process. And several people on our team have gone through that process with the schools that they're coming from. And I think as we learn more about the possibilities there, we'd really be able to help those schools move towards a goal, towards becoming a Common Sense School if that's something that they want to take on as part of working on digital citizenship. So Common Sense Media has a lot of fantastic free resources that we can direct those schools and teachers to use in their classroom and use school-wide. Now, to talk a little bit about the different roles within professional learning. So our 5 ambassadors we have hired for a 2-year contract. They are coming right out of schools, and they're going to be with us for 2 years, and I think doing incredible work. So they're really the people that we at the department are working with on a day-to-day basis, and developing the schools that they're working with, developing professional learning that they're going to be delivering to those schools. And we're hoping that, and this is kind of still in the development, that every MLTI school will have what we're calling an MLTI liaison, so that contact person at each school that can work directly with the ambassador in their region to facilitate professional learning between the ambassador, can be certainly inclusive of the liaison, and then to connect them with the teachers and staff within the school, which we're calling those the MLTI practitioners. So those are the people that are really bringing MLTI professional learning to full realization in their schools. So those are kind of the different tiers of our program right now, and the individuals that are involved, from the ambassador level, people that are contracted with the DOE, down to the school level with the liaisons and practitioners. And we'll transition to the MLTI ambassadors, who I'll have Rob Dominic and lead us off, and they'll introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Rob Dominic. I live in Brewer, and I was most recently teaching middle school math at Brewer Community School.
I am Holly Graffam, and I was a technology instructional coach at Scarborough Middle School.
Hi, I'm Kate Meyer, and I have been an English and design thinking teacher at Mount Desert Island High School.
I'm Jonathan Werner. I was the tech integrator at Cape Elizabeth Middle School, and prior to that, a tech integrator at both the middle school and the high school in Cape.
And I'm Eric Wade. I'm formerly the 7th, 8th grade science teacher at Warsaw Middle School in Pittsfield. And I'm going to briefly talk about the instructional coaching aspect of MLTI 2.0. We took this broad idea of coaching and kind of broke it down into 3 kind of bullet points. The first being that we're really here to support schools with targeted professional learning and focus areas. And those focus areas could be anything that fits into those broad categories that John talked about: digital citizenship, tech integration, and digital instructional design. We're available to work with teachers as a large group, as a whole school, small groups, or one-on-one, depending on the goals of the teacher in the school. And speaking of goals, we're happy to help develop any goals that schools might have or might want to have. It could be technology-based, or it could be taking an existing goal, a literacy goal or a math goal or an SEL goal, and finding a way to put some tech integration into that goal to enhance that goal and make it a little more robust for students. And in order to achieve those goals, we're working shoulder to shoulder or computer monitor to computer monitor with teachers and principals. As the year progresses, we'll be working with more and more schools. And one of the cool side effects that we've had by working with these teachers is the opportunity to highlight some of the really great technology integration that's already happening in schools through our weekly good news articles that are published by the Department of Ed. And to talk more about some of the great work that we've already been doing in schools, here's Rob Dominic and Kate Meyer.
So as Eric mentioned, we are in schools working alongside students and teachers to deliver professional learning that is tailored to the schools and districts' individual needs. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what we've been doing specifically. Rob has been working with Caribou, Washburn, and Woodland on Google Workspace training, podcasting integration, and teacher data organization and workflow using Google Forms and Sheets. Holly has been working with Portland's Technology Integration Coordinator to find solutions for classroom applications as they make the move from Apple devices to Chromebooks, as well as collaborating on responses to digital citizenship queries. Eric has been in some schools in his region working with teachers to integrate technology with outdoor education, including digital photography integration and working with Maine Ag in the classroom to develop technology integrated agriculture projects. He has also been helping teachers develop math assessments using Google Forms, iPad and stylus integration, and Google Classroom. Born out of Jonathan's Actum presentation that he delivered this fall on technology addiction, we've started a collaboration. John and I are collaborating with AOS 91 to develop and deliver technology addiction professional development. And we'll be doing that work beginning with technology and mental health professionals in that district, and then expanding that out to their teachers, their families, and their students, with the goal of sharing this professional development with other regions. And I have started collaborating with tech integrators in RSU 24 and Deer Isle to create professional development to help them support their teachers. I had the opportunity to work with Lubec Elementary School using Flipgrid and Common Sense Media Lessons, and I will soon be working with them on other technology integration projects, including podcasting.
All right, so in addition to all those specific instances that Kate referenced, we're also looking to make a broader impact whenever and wherever possible. So we're expecting to be able to do this in a variety of ways. The first is through our own creations and offerings. One in particular that you may have recently seen is the Continuity of Learning Map, which stands for Making Access a Priority, hosted on the DOE site. Just in the first 2 months of this creation, beginning this school year, we have over 30 videos already of technology integration tools, skills, and strategies posted. Our next area of impact would be to deliver professional learning at conferences around the state. Most recently, there was the State Technology Conference, Actum, where we all presented on a variety of topics, from tech tools in the classroom like Parlay, Google Apps, and Pear Deck, to integrating Minecraft into classroom lessons, to even more pedagogical and philosophical topics like thinking and design, and, as Kate mentioned, technology addiction. However, we aren't limiting ourselves to technology-only conferences. We would also like to add 2 content, grade level, and regional conferences as well. We're talking about wide variety like Adaman for math, the Maine Council for the Social Studies, Maine Teachers Conference, MAML, Maine Association for Middle School Level Education, and then the regional versions of Western Maine Rendezvous with the PrEP organization in the Bangor region, and on and on and on. But besides those established conferences already, we also have the ultimate goal of coordinating regional connections and workshops involving tech PD. So this would be, connecting schools with each other, finding common work days, being able to help them out as a group together. And this would come as we've established relationships with schools and districts, so we get to know their common goals and struggles. That way we can help link them with other schools, connect them with each other for the support that they would need. One of those great ways that we're hoping to begin this process is for us to assist with those PD workshop days that schools already have scheduled, that we think that those would be a natural way to assimilate to the school and districts in our regions. So we would love to be able to come help out on those days in any way we can. And to speak more about those connections to schools and communities, I'll pass along to Holly.
Hi, everybody. As ambassadors, while we love working with communities outside of our past districts, we still want to continue to be embedded in our own communities. And as John mentioned, this is a 2-year role, position by design. And the intention is for us as ambassadors to bring our skills, knowledge, and experiences back to our communities in order to continue to meaningfully impact our own learning communities as we leave a legacy for the next installment of ambassadors. And so some ways that we are continuing to stay connected in our districts. Jonathan is continuing to serve in his role as Cape's DEI committee and as a co-advisor for the Cape Elizabeth Middle School Civil Rights team. Rob coaches basketball and baseball in his school district. Eric is the president of his teachers association. Kate is a negotiator on her teacher association team. And myself, I continue to mentor and support my successor in my building as he is starting his new career in this path. And again, as Rob just talked about, as far as reaching out regionally and developing regional goals, one of the goals that we do have is to develop regional cohorts. And we hope these cohorts are comprised of tech integrators, teachers, school liaisons, and other relevant parties that meet regularly to share and collaborate with each other. For example, we are fortunate in Southern Maine to have a legacy group that was born out of the Greater Sebago Alliance and the Casco Bay Alliance that has grown into a larger group, both geographically and is part of the Actum Integrator Group. We meet officially every other month, but we regularly share, collaborate, and support each other as we look to find solutions to help our buildings as they look forward to their new technology goals. So we're hoping to take this model and replicate this valuable learning professional network structure to other parts of the state. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan, and he's going to talk about a specific project that we have all been working on this fall.
So Rob mentioned having the map, and here's where you could find it on the Maine.gov website. As we start to look at how the year was evolving, for so many schools, really figuring out ways to support immediate hybrid models and the need to go into distance learning on the drop of a hat felt like an area we should really offer a lot of support. So we designed this floor plan of an imaginary school that allows you to visit the various classrooms and focus areas so that you can find resources that provide immediate support for a teacher who knows that their situation is about to change or who might be struggling with a particular aspect of how to offer continuity of learning. If we take a look at one of the classrooms that's here, this is the world language classroom, offering resources to connect with other world language teachers down the left-hand side, if you click on one of those flags. And then a video that I created talking about 3 particular projects that have been used by educators in areas around the state that have been successful and that really allow you to start up pretty quickly a distance learning or a hybrid model that might be, sort of take you by surprise as a result of a closure or a group of students that suddenly is on quarantine. The hope is that this is going to merge the 3 areas, that parts of what you'll find in here are instructional coaching based. Some of them are intended for professional learning and allowing you to develop particular skills in an individual area or in community building. And we really have given a good amount of focus on the well-being of the teachers and the well-being of the students who are really, as we know from recent reporting and all of our own experiences, really facing some significant struggles in ways that we'd hope they obviously wouldn't be. So we wanted to be responsive to those changing needs and to be able to pivot, not to design or deliver something that we have in mind, but something that would allow our resources to be as useful and as immediately accessible to educators as possible.
All right, so I am going to just kind of bring things back to the high level and talk a little bit about our landscape. So as you can see, or you may have picked up on, we've been using quite a bit of strategy to provide targeted and focused professional learning as we've gone along. And if you take a look at the numbers on the screen, you can really see that we have 5 MLTI ambassadors, and we have us as the 2 digital learning specialists, and of course the rest of the LTT team. But we have, approximately 26,000 MLTI students and around 7,000 MLTI teachers. So it is a large landscape that we are trying to make an impact on. And so we've been using quite a bit of strategy, looking for ways to collaborate and really emphasizing a state, regional, and local model to support this. That way, we're truly reaching as many as what we can with MLTI professional learning. And then I'm going to pass it to John to talk about our coming attractions.
So we have so much stuff exciting going on that hopefully people kind of heard a lot of the stuff that we've been able to do in just, the past couple months, kind of kicking off the school year. But I feel like we've got a lot of exciting stuff that we're all looking forward to. Not even all of it is captured on this timeline of sorts, but I think a couple of key things to mention. We will be hiring a new project manager to be managing the MLTI project very soon. Hiring a new network infrastructure specialist. So this person will be able to work with schools around changes that might be happening with their networks or locally systems and structures that they might have in place, connect them with other schools and share, their knowledge that they have. That's a position we're very excited to fill as well. I think that could be a real game changer for a lot of our schools. The next group there, we're going to be doing monthly updates to the map that we just looked at a minute or so ago. So I think that's going to be an exciting way that we can pull in. We've already started kind of pulling in some educators to share their experiences, their context. So I think we'll be able to do more of that, which I think will be well received. As Eric mentioned, we're doing good news articles every week. I think there's some fantastic stuff that's going to be coming to light as we connect with schools that we'll be able to share out, which is always a positive. And we have been offering daily open office hours, either MLTI office hours or MAP office hours. So if people want to reach out to us about either of those or looking for some support, that's something. We've had that open line using Zoom. We've had that well manned over the past month or so. We have obviously ongoing recruitment. We've got the student conference coming up, but professional learning that we're going to be offering. Always looking for people that we can bring in and get involved, elevate their voices so they can share the awesome things that they're doing, whether it's working with students or providing suggestions to their colleagues. I think there's obviously a lot of potential there. And as we work with schools, finding those people and giving them those opportunities. Rob had talked some about educational conference participation. That is certainly something that's really on our radar that we are thinking about, and we'll be working with those organizations to be developing professional learning specific to those conferences as time goes on. We're going to be developing asynchronous professional learning, so stuff that teachers can be accessing throughout the school year, into the summer, into next year, and into the future. So I think that's really exciting that we'll be able to, in time, build a really robust library of professional learning for staff to be able to access there. And I think we'll be developing, obviously, some synchronous professional learning opportunities as well. So if teachers want to join on a Zoom call, as we're on today, then they can hear us live, ask questions in real time, and have those questions answered, work through problems. That's certainly something we're going to be working on as well down the line. For this first part of MLTI 2.0, software is purchasing software is not something that we were doing for now. We're going to be working towards that, and we're going to be forming an advisory board, very similar to the advisory board that kind of developed the MLTI 2.0 plan, as well as the group that kind of worked through the devices that were part of the RFP process. So I think another board to come around and look through that software and really figure out what schools can use. And then that will inform professional learning that the ambassadors can provide for those schools, as they will have access to any number of pieces of software applications. And then finally, the thing I would like to end with is talking about MLTI Slam. They're going to be doing live streams, and that's a program we're really excited about learning. And to share more information about that, I'm going to be turning over to Kern Kelly to talk about that model.
Thanks, John. Hey, everybody. So just a quick introduction. I'm a technology integrator here at R19, which is in Newport. I've also worked as a consultant pretty much around the world for different companies and different educational organizations. But most importantly, if you go to the next slide, Emma, is a big proponent of student agency. And if you think about MLTI 2.0, a big aspect of that is that ability to empower our kids to use these tools and devices to do all kinds of amazing things. Typically throughout a year, I will be able to take students of mine. I have the privilege of taking them with me to do workshops and presentations literally around the world. Obviously, this last couple of years have kind of put the halt to that. So in a way to kind of give back and to be able to work with students across the state of Maine, we're introducing the MLTI Slam Show, which is Student Leadership Ambassadors of Maine. And the idea is that my students, as well as other students from across the state, will join in a live technology presentation show that talks about different topics and different content and things that they can use with their devices, and basically provide a platform for our students to be able to give back and share with each other. The ultimate goal of this is that kind of the culmination is that student conference that John mentioned at the end of the year or during May, that we'll be able to have students have practice and been presenters and worked online with other students and shared and developed that community of like-minded individuals to be able to come together in May and really kind of showcase what they've learned throughout the year. So we'll be offering that live weekly tech help show every week for students and educators. They'll be able to join us. Once we're completed, those videos will be available, through YouTube stream or other ways, other mechanisms for you to be able to download those. For a quick, Emma, if you want to jump to the next slide here for a quick shot of the first episode, kind of introducing it. Let me see if that audio comes through.
Hello and welcome to the MLTI 2.0 Slam Show, a brand new resource for students and teachers to learn about technology use to its fullest. We are the Student Leadership Ambassadors of Maine. That's where SLAM comes from. We hope that you could participate in our weekly live stream where we answer questions, discuss technology topics, and share student work. Join our community of students and educators from around the state to learn and share with.
The MLTI Slam Show is a program of the Maine Department of Education. For more information about this and other innovative educational initiatives, please visit www.maine.gov/DOE.
So our team has begun planning for the 2022 MLTI Student Conference, and we're really excited to share this news with you today. We'll be hosting 5 in-person conferences, all on different dates at different locations around the state. And we'll continue to host one virtual MLTI student conference. So this is an attempt to reach every MLTI student to get them to be able to attend our conference. We're really excited to partner with the University of Maine for this because we'll be holding all 5 of these conferences at 5 different campus locations, and to highlight the new Center for the Maine College of Engineering, Computing, and Information Science that MLTI students will have access to in the future. So that's really exciting, and I'll pass it over to Jordan, who will talk about registration.
So this year we're going to have multiple rounds of registration that will take place to ensure all schools have the opportunity to register. And then schools will be able to add additional students once we see the initial registration and see where we can fill gaps and place more students. The dates will be announced soon, along with important announcements and other information. So please keep a lookout for the website. Now I'm going to pass it back to Brandy.
So some other exciting news that we have for you. One of the things that the MLTI Advisory Board noticed as they look back at MLTI throughout the years was a real opportunity to be able to use some data and really see the impact of the program over the years. So last June, the department released an RFP for an external evaluator. And through the RFP process, we were able to award American Institutes for Research. They were awarded, and we've successfully executed a contract with them. So together, AIR and the MLTI team, we're working on an evaluation plan. And we should be finalizing that very soon. Oh, sorry. Something popped up on my screen. So one of the goals of this is to be able to evaluate the effectiveness and the efficacy of the program. In an effort to keep our promise, we plan to use this evaluation for, to inform decision-making, improvement, and to innovate the MLTI program as well as provide us with a long-term look back at the program and its impact throughout the years. And I will pass it off to Beth.
So here is the large list of our contact information and our team. I'm really so grateful to work with such an amazing team that you got to hear from today. It's full of educators and experts to support you and your schools. And so I hope that you heard throughout this presentation, not only great stuff that we are doing, but that you were sparked with ideas on how you can engage with us with MLTI, to reach out to any of the people whose names are on this screen or who you heard from today, to bring MLTI into your school. We know that it's a challenging year, which is an understatement. And so whatever you need in whatever form, we are here and ready to figure out a way to make sure that we can get you the support that you need. Digital learning is a reality for us now, and we know that every teacher is coming at that at varying levels of experience and comfortability. And so we want to be there to offer that support in any way that we can. So please reach out to us. We have this slideshow will be available to you, and all of the links throughout this presentation are live and will connect you to even more resources that we've been building out. So please take some time to click through our slides and explore all of the material and the resources that we have provided, and we will continue to provide. It's regularly updated. The map is being updated monthly with new resources every month. But we're continually adding more professional learning, asynchronous and synchronous options that you can please take advantage of. We're watching the Q&A. At this point, we've allowed the last 15 minutes for questions. So if there are folks on live with us that have questions, you can put them in that Q&A, and we are watching that, and we're happy to answer those questions for you.
While we're waiting for those, I was going to mention too that any of us are happy to connect you with whoever you need. Although the ambassadors have regions, we also have areas of expertise that may be more applicable to a different individual. So just reach out to any of us and we'll get you connected to the people that can help you with no sort of territoriality, just whatever is, as Beth said, the most helpful for whatever needs you have.
So I'm wondering, as we're waiting, because it's always the awkward time of questions. People, if people have questions and they're typing them in, fantastic. Oh, did one just come in? All right. So can we talk about all students leaving high school with a professional social network, a digital portfolio, and a digital landing page? If we have a small team at our high school, could we work with someone to get this started? So I think this, yeah, I'm seeing my team nodding heads, excited by this. Absolutely. These are the kind of things that we love to get inquiries about, and we can help work to design what you need for support for something like that. And what's fantastic in our model is we'll work with you, pilot it, figure it out, see what makes sense, and then we'll also have something to be able to share and push and develop statewide for others who might think that this is a great idea and something that our high school seniors need as they leave for that. So absolutely, I would say reach out to us and send an email to anyone on this call, and we'll get back to you and put you and start that conversation.
That also makes me think about in terms of the ideas of regional networks. Between the five of us, and actually all of us, we begin to figure out where there are existing programs. So being able to connect you to existing resources as well is another way that we're hoping to develop some of those regional partnerships, where someone may already have a portfolio program like you're describing. That becomes an opportunity for us to learn more about it, but also to help you find other schools that are already implementing it on the ground.
So I'm wondering if I could turn over, if anybody impromptu, as we do this, we can show some of our live, newly created resources on our continuity of education map. So let's see, Emma, if you want to share that, and maybe as we could tour through and look more specifically what kind of resources and demonstrate that. Jonathan, you did a great job introing in the amount of time we had. Since we have a little extra time, I'd love to share, and some of you, please unmute to share a little bit more about the resources that you've put into the map and what they mean.
I'll start just because I've been thinking about it. So as you go through, there's some instructions there at the beginning. And then, as we mentioned, there's sort of these divisions. In the next couple of days, we'll be launching a school library down in the lower right-hand corner. So take a look for that, an additional room that'll be available there. So the professional learning collection will be inside the school library. But I wondered if you could go to the elementary PK5 resource. So we haven't had a chance to mention the incredible resources from Moose. And this team has developed really extraordinarily helpful and thoughtful modules for focused on students who might be working independently or with sort of semi-support from teachers that are trying to connect with them while they're at home. And the Moose team has put together a series of resources that are really focused on getting those into the students' hands immediately, versus the majority of the resources that are in the map are focused on the teachers and the opportunities for them to explore and find ways to engage their students. There is a single room that's devoted to connecting with sort of students with specific resources, especially around SEL topics. But the elementary classroom, because the Moose project existed already and is so robust, I just wanted to highlight that it is really focused on resources available both to teachers, but also to students. And that we hope to expand that room in particular to be able to have more robust resources. As we've all seen, elementary has a particular challenge. And it also allows us to emphasize that the 2.0 MLTI 2.0 team certainly focused on the grade spans that 6 through 9 as the program expands. But we are absolutely here to support whatever other areas of inquiry or sort of need you're able to bring to our attention.
I'll just add to all of this here. You know, may think, you know, like, how is this so different than just kind of going and looking things up on their own, and teachers need resources. I think the big difference here is the advantages of what we're doing with this setup is that a lot of these resources come as kind of a highly vetted come from a highly vetted place between us and even just teachers in the field. Like these are real resources that they're using every day. I know with the math piece, and if you want to check that out, the stuff that's being made there, and there's more to add to it that will get out actually for the next release. You know, if things had to go remote tomorrow, like, here's what I would do. This is why. This is how it would be useful. Those are the types of things that we're looking to put out there. Not just here's a resource, but here's how it was used. Here's people who are using it. If you want to connect with them, we can help you out with that. Here's how it was integrated into the classroom effectively, not just here's the resource and just get an informational page about it. So that's what we're really hoping to bring through this map to the state is that type of integration with these resources.
I'd like to build on what Rob said with the resources that I have been building in the language arts classroom space of the map. So right now I have 3 what I'm calling quick tech tools for teachers. These are tools that I used in my classroom last year when we were remote and hybrid and in person. So like Rob said, it's me talking about how I use them and how other teachers I know use these tools so that teachers can get these very quick asynchronous professional development moments, and then hopefully be able to integrate things into their classrooms to just make their lives and their students' lives a little bit easier as we're working through this challenging year. And like Rob said, there are more updates to come. So more bite-sized PD will be happening there as well.
And kind of chime in a little bit, we're all kind of experts in kind of our areas, science and math and social studies and ELA and such, but there's definitely more to a school than just kind of the 4 major pieces of, that we kind of cover here, 5. So what we've done is we've asked other professionals that we know out in the field to contribute as well. For instance, in the visual arts section of the map, there's the art teacher from my school that I worked with, Ashley Pillsbury, did a short video on a web-based art sharing website that she uses called Arsonia. I just literally got an email notification on my computer that said my epic video from our second grade teacher at Vickery is all done, and I'll be putting it in the library soon. So we're really reaching out to people who have expertise in areas that we don't, to really get some, like Rob says, some vetted, useful remote options, hybrid options for teachers to use if they do run into the situation where they're like, hey, guess what? You have people remote tomorrow. So if you know anybody, please send them our way.
And Emma, if you want to just click on the help desk, the tech help. And while we do provide very specific content area help, we also have a space in here where these are pretty generic tools that would work in any classroom, regardless of what you are teaching. So we're really trying to be comprehensive in what we're doing and making sure that we are providing support, as Eric just mentioned, beyond our own individual areas of expertise, but also make sure that this map is robust and has something for everybody to help improve their teaching, or in some way help them as they find themselves in a place where they have to switch up their instruction and on a dime, really. And that's what we're seeing across the state, is teachers are suddenly having to change their pathways of how they're meeting their students' needs. And these tools are certainly, we hope, there to help them do that.
Ali mentioned too the idea of turning on a dime. I think we're doing our best to anticipate what those needs would be. But of course, if you're aware of those needs that we haven't yet provided resources for, we would love that information as well. So Eric mentioned contributions from teachers in the field. Another aspect of that would be your questions and your sort of known areas of need that we could be responsive to. Could you click on special education, Emma? This is another example of an area where we have brought together curated resources that hopefully will be applicable to not a single subject, but in this case, a department. Common Sense Education, we mentioned earlier, has some phenomenal resources. And one of the things we're trying to pull in addition to content we're creating, is content we've found that we find particularly valuable. So could you just go to Common Sense Education for 1 sec? That page will take you out of the map and give you the connections to Common Sense's resources specifically tailored towards special education programs and special education teachers. And then if you close out that window, it'll just take you back to the map to explore other areas that you were looking at. If you also click on the back to the floor plan, the front office, all of us have contact information here. And if you were to click on any of the individuals, you'll see the same contact information we saw a moment ago in the slideshow. But if you wanted to direct your educators to this particular part of the map, that's a great way to get in touch. And as Beth mentioned, we have office hours that we'd be delighted to take questions on the fly as those emerge, or to make appointments with individual teachers with vertical departments by subject area, or grade level teams that have particular needs. Any of those opportunities that we could have to join a faculty meeting or join one of those smaller meetings, we'd be delighted to do either by appointment or in those office hours.
So I know, as I'm watching my team explain all of this to you, that hope that you're seeing the approach that we're taking, which is absolutely around individualized and customized. We know that the one thing we know is that we've never been in an educational setting like this before. Last year and this year are extraordinary situations, and the experts are those educators that are navigating it. Our ambassadors are 5 educators who navigated that last year and are coming here to help support the educators that are navigating it right now. And so please share our information with your schools, your leadership, your educators. Please reach out to us as you have ideas, and let's see where they go. We look forward to other opportunities and more opportunities to share with you all and get to know you and your school district's needs better and better as the year goes by. So thank you all. I think without any other questions in the Q&A, we will call it a wrap for today. Thanks, everyone.